Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming. This is Talent Mindset Coaching. Yeah, it's a program which has the vision to help the internationals position themselves as talents. I can use that language, yeah, because as for now, I believe most of us, we are locked into the job seekers mentality. Though it's quite a great thing, but I believe it's way below our capabilities. Yeah, and of course, it's really legit to have that mindset. My personal reason is that we have so much expectation from Finland than what is really available. My personal opinion. So when we come here, we're like, if it works, then I'm just waiting for an assignment. That's it. Yeah. So we have people who have expertise in very big things. I've talked. I mentioned this. I will say it again. Maybe you didn't hear it. Yeah. I gave myself a challenge to talk to different people and asking them, what are you doing beside world? What are you doing beside this? What is your experience? And some of the people from different places. Some of the people, for example, from India, I met with people who have been business managers in their countries. I've met some people who have been recruitment experts in their country, which I'm expecting they should be able to figure out how recruitment should work. Because, of course, there are some factors which might be different, but I believe most of the things they correlate in some ways. We have 1,000 applicants. We have 3 vacancies. Definitely, some things will go along together. Yeah. So after learning these things for 9 years that I've spent in Finland, then I said, actually, I even told some of the officials here that international talents don't need help in looking for a job. Yeah, because I came here and I worked as one of the people who help other people to search for jobs. Yeah, one of the things which really bothered me is that I was helping people in the methods which I clearly know cannot work. I mean, it might work, there's always a chance. There's always a chance you can fly, Sometimes the world can shake and you can find yourself flying even if you don't have the wings here. But so I was like, this is the problem. Yeah, so I don't believe we need the kind of help that is being offered. We don't need it. But we need more of a mentality reset, so that when we position ourselves as talents, maybe we can start to see things on a different angle. So that was one. Number 2, in speaking to different entrepreneurs, then I came to realize most of them, now this light always turns on and off. Yeah, most of entrepreneurs, it's not that they don't want to give jobs to people, but they are unable. Yeah, and being unable, from my eye, this is an opportunity. It's not a problem. Yeah, when you find somebody unable to do something and you happen to have something to offer, that is an opportunity. Of course, it may not come in a way that you want it quickly. Yeah, something like that. So that's why I said we should have mentality. Resetting talks. That's why we had this. And it's a collaborative. I talk to many people, including Coach Johanna. Please come and talk to my people. Tell us about why recruitment works. Have you heard this talk outside? How recruitment works in Finland? I mean, have you heard it in when you meet some other friends,
Actually,
in your regular life?
I mean, when I arrived, actually, I didn't have any kind of. I knew some friends of mine who worked here in Finland, but actually, most people who got the job, it was by referral. So they didn't go through the process of like applying for a job and getting interviewed.
Yes, that's one of the points you will hear from Johanna so many times, and too bad or too good. I don't know which side it should be, but majority of people I have discussed to, they have no idea about this hidden job market. They have no idea. All they know is that these guys, they don't want us to give job, which could be true in some cases, which might not be absolutely true in some other case. That's why we need these conversations. Yeah, so that was just an introduction. That's the reason we're having this, and my wish is to, though she's a coach, but she has mentioned several times she's open into a collective discussion. We really enjoyed the last session. She presented very little, and most of it we were asking each other questions, because what she thought is really true. It's not that people don't know, they know it, but of course sometimes you just don't put your thoughts to that particular thing. Yeah, and when you come together and start to discuss some of the things, always answers are available, no matter the situation. I believe when people agree to meet and talk, it can be racism, it can be the job shortage, it can be anything. If we agree to meet and talk, we can resolve anything. That's my faith. Yeah, and announcement is that I'm recording the session. As you can see, I have 2 cameras. Of course, I used to have the third one, but now that one belongs to the office and I have to fight for it. Sometimes I don't get it. Yeah, so I'm recording the session. This one goes live to TikTok. Yeah, and the good thing is I've got a lot of positive responses. People are really appreciating the messages that I'm sharing. And some of the guys, I meet them in the street, they are surprised, like, are you really living in Kuopio, man? We should meet. Yeah, so I get a lot of positive comments from TikTok. Yeah, but after that, I record and I will upload all of them together to the YouTube. I have a YouTube page which is called Talent Mindset Coaching. You will find all the sessions that I've done here. Yeah, sometimes, if not most of times, these tables could be empty. Of course, when she came, she attracted some people. They came last time. Yeah, but most of the time it's empty because time is challenging, and I really understand it all collides with most of the classes, I think, for international people. So I really understand that. But when they meet me, they tell me they really want to come. Yeah, so it's really challenging. I'm actually engaging in a discussion with Vamos Kuopio. I don't know if they will allow me to use the venue outside of work hours. If they do so, then maybe we can reach more students. Yeah, I'm also looking for other people as well in other venues where they can allow us to meet after 5, after 6, maybe at 8, so we can have more talk. Yeah, so that one you should know. And what else did I want to say? I will read it. Yeah, I think basically that's all I wanted to inform you. The program is that first 15 minutes, we're dedicating it for like a pre-talk, and then after that, for about 30 to maybe now it depends on how, but 20 to 40 minutes, she will do the presentation, telling us her insights, and then after that we will have another discussion now, which is reflected from the presentation to see, is it really realistic what she's telling us? Sometimes it could be, some people have told me, of course, in TikTok, like, you man, you are really speaking some good stuff because you are being favored by Kuopio. Yeah, so the way they see me always in offices, they believe I'm cold because I'm being favored, but no one knows why I'm favored. Yeah, so we really need these kind of conversations. Yeah, we need some discussion to see, is it realistic what we're being told? Maybe she's only telling us because she has a job. Maybe. Yeah, and after that, yeah, we can finish by just talking to each other. Do you know each other? Any of you?
No.
Fantastic. Do you? Any of you had known Johanna before? Yes, fantastic. You had not known her before. Then it's a plus. It's a +4, +4, +5, +4 today in your network. Yeah, and I believe this will be a start for your participation. And this is not only for experts. She's an expert in this coaching. She has a consulting company, but this platform is also open to students. Sometimes you may have fantastic ideas that no one wants to listen. You can just contact me, tell me I have this idea, I want to present it. I believe I should help you to have more visibility. Some people are really following this. I can see the profile view. For example, last week I've had up to, I think, 100 profile views. Yeah, people are watching. Few people who really likes to dare, they contact me and tell me, man, we see what you're doing. Keep up. You might not get anything now, but please keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. So for me, I think that's all. I would like now to. Would you like to start already? Yeah, maybe I didn't hear from. I only asked him. Yeah, how he understands this recruitment. I would like to hear your insight for 5. We have 5 minutes. I would like to hear your points. How much do you understand now? 3 years spent in Finland. How do you understand recruitment?
Well, quite a big deal because actually it's very similar to my home country. In Spain, everything works
as a referral. That's a good point.
So it's quite similar in a way. And for me, it was not a surprise. What I'm looking though is for, let's say, a network and find people. What is a surprise though is that it seems that there are not many chances to be together.
Yes.
Face to face. That's the big challenge in my opinion.
Very true. Very true. And I said that's a very strong point because a lot of people believe Finland is worse. I have met and talked, actually not a lot, but some subsection of the people I know. Yes, they speak as if in the other countries the situation is absolutely different. Some people refer to US, they believe US is way better, or Canada, but I've listened to many videos on TikTok, people complaining the same thing. And Canada speaks English, but the same complaint. People are like, please, if you plan to come to Canada, don't. Because you won't get any job, they only give jobs to themselves. Yeah, so that was a very strong point. How about your view?
Well, I might have a bit different view because I've
Yes,
been
please.
living here almost 16 years, and I was also involved with helping companies recruit international talents and
Yeah.
promote good stories of companies that have helped international talents.
Yes.
I've also worked in establishing programs that were meant to help international talents.
Yes.
So I have a bit of a look from the other side of the coin, so to speak.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
About what you were saying earlier, like the situation is so similar in other countries. I don't buy too much into that narrative.
Yeah.
With a saying in Italian that says, "The grass of your neighbor, it's always greener."
That is true.
So I politely don't care if the situation is the same in other country. I care where I am.
Yeah.
And I don't find it as a justification, like, oh, okay, we're all in the same boat at the moment, so it's bad for all, so don't complain. I mean, that's complaining, I'm complaining. but you have to deal with your day-to-day life. It doesn't matter if it's the same in Spain, in Italy, or Sweden, or whatever. I don't care, I'm not there, I'm here. So I don't care about that. What I would like to see, and this is something really lacking, is there's plenty. I agree on the opportunity to meet face to face with other talents. Definitely missing. There's not that many organizational programs, projects that organize that.
Yeah.
They should do more. But I would like to see more talks and discussion about what employer can do to meet
That's a good point.
halfway, because this is something I said already 14 years ago when I was first in this circus, that integration is a two-way street.
That is true.
And now for the past 15 years that I've been here, the focus has been always, for the majority of these programs and initiatives, on the international people, on the foreigner. You have to do this, you have to be like this, you have to learn this, you have to do that.
Yeah.
So what is asked of employers?
Okay.
And that is a talk that is totally
that's a good point.
absent in my opinion. And if somebody were to think to move to Finland right now, I would say don't come.
Fantastic. Now, any additional insight from you?
I would say, based on my humble experience when it comes to applying for jobs, when you go online and try to modify your CV for the 200th time and motivational letter and try to apply for a certain job, I don't think that approach really works in here. What worked for me basically was trying to contact recruiters, try to connect with them. And if I'm really interested in a job, I try to do research about the company, if they have a company visit open. I just recently visited Normed's facility 3 weeks ago, and yesterday I had a job interview with them. So I guess that kind of approach works more than just applying for jobs online and try to modify your CV this way. So networking is very important.
Fantastic. Well, that's all now. I will leave the table to the presenter, but one thing I forgot to let you know is that I will not shake hands with you, nor getting close with you, because I woke up this morning coughing, and I have some fields. I feel extremely cold and hot. At the same time, if I take this, then I feel quite cold. Yeah, so I will open the window. If you feel cold, you can let me know. I'm sitting right here. Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Thank you. And I can totally resonate what you said, and I'm trying to do it now with my job, actually. So my name is Johanna Pantsar. I have a company, Bestla Consulting Oy. I'm an executive coach, group and team coach. I work as a board member and mentor, and I've now been an entrepreneur for actually 1.5 years. But before that, I was working in international pharmaceutical industry as HR, doing a lot of recruitments. I recruited 46 people from 46 different countries to Kuopio. So, and we had some collaboration with Marco before. That's my background. And I wanted to include quite a lot of things in here based on what we last time discussed with Ezekiel, and our last session was about hidden job markets and what they actually mean. So that's now a minority in this presentation. But we will look at the overview of the Finnish job market, what is the hiring process in Finland, what should be in CV and cover letter. I'm sure you all know this, but maybe there's online people who don't know it. The interview culture, legal aspects, and overcoming common challenges. And please do ask questions if you have. You can interrupt me, and maybe you can't see the comments online.
Yes, I'm following the comments.
Okay, you're following them there.
Yes.
Okay. But maybe first a question, that what is one thing that confuses you about job markets in Finland? Or is there any?
Yeah, for me, maybe I can start. I would say there is one thing which is confusing people. Yeah, this is not a very attractive topic, but we have racism, and we have the job deficiency. So it's really hard for people, especially foreigners, to know which one is the real reason we cannot have jobs. Yeah, of course I hear a lot of people, including the Finns, they don't have jobs, but the situation is extreme on foreigners. Yeah, and they have lower chances of getting job compared to a Finn. So most people cannot tell if this is racism or maybe there are some other factors, and it confuses a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. Any other?
Well, it's the Finland paradox. There's a complaint by business world that there's lack of right applicants, right, or lack of right specialists or right talents to match the open position, and there's a plethora of job seekers that could fit those roles, in my opinion, but they don't find each other or they're not employed. So it's like complaining but you're not looking for a solution in a way. It's a bit of a paradox.
Yeah, I totally agree. And when I was working in my previous job in a corporate world, I was sitting in many committees and many projects. Some were funded by the government, some were just from the Chamber of Commerce, and that was the talk, continuous talk there. That they don't match. But I think that the reason is prejudice, racism. They are afraid of a foreign name. They are afraid, the companies, that the person doesn't have good enough language skills, and that's the truth, even though it's not something that you hear in the festive talk or publicly, unfortunately. And I totally disagree with it. And I've done the change in one company where people wanted to be a Finnish company, and now I think it's a company that hires the most international people in Kuopio. Yeah. But what are the industries that hire the most people? If we look at the sort of statistics now in Finland, healthcare, social services, that will be increasing. Retail and wholesale trade, manufacturing, industrial production, construction and real estate, education and public sector, they will be needing more staff, and transportation and logistics, and hospitality. Maybe not so much, but it will be increasing. And if we look at the comparison of the growth industry and high employment industries, here is something I found from the statistics. For example, in the ICT and software development, I see a lot of companies are outsourcing the labor to India or cheaper countries, but then there still is a continued growth because we are focusing on the digitalization. And I'm assuming that the hospitality and tourism will increase because of the climate change. Any thoughts of this chart?
Well, yeah, these are mostly the IT, it's maybe, like you said, a bit declining now. There's AI coming into the picture, and of course there's a lot of offer, but not so much demand.
Yeah.
Healthcare is pretty much case of force majeure,
Yes.
because the elderly population
Yeah.
is retiring, and so you need a new energy to join the fold in the field. And most of the other, there might be seasonal jobs or blue collar jobs, so with low threshold sort of education background required to enter. And like the retail and wholesales, also they might have a high number in hiring, but again, if you think someone working in supermarket, for example, will not usually those also have a high turnover, so it might be that those numbers are skewed because of that reason. So what I see is that there's few of these industries that have a match in the study programs offered by most Finnish universities, and also I cannot remember what is Asemakatu called in English.
University of Applied Science.
Yeah, applied science or vocational schools. Yes. So there's a bit of a mismatch from what are the industry hiring and what people are learning from the educational system.
Yeah, and of course the educational system always comes a bit late,
Yeah.
because the demand in workplaces goes faster. But I think it's an excellent example, the healthcare jobs, that when there is a will, there is a way. Because that's an industry where they need Finnish-speaking people, and where we need the people, they actually do hire people who are non-Finns, no matter the skin color or ethnicity or anything, because they want to do it. They need the people. So if somebody says that we can't, then we should say that, okay, look at the healthcare industry. They can, and it's highly regulated industry. This is something I found, that what is needed in Finland towards 2040. Technological proficiency, healthcare, sustainable development skills, and educational and research skills. Of course, these are all maybe not in healthcare, but they are all like higher educational jobs. Of course, we need other people as well. And implications for job seekers, if we look at the future, I think these are all sort of, well, adaptability, you have to learn all the time, continuous learning and improvement. That's like modern working life, that's what you need in every country. Specialization, yeah, but you also need people who are generalists, and networking, that's important. Finnish hiring process. Where are the job ads and workplaces? Highly dependent on the industry. Not every place is on LinkedIn, like I usually refer to LinkedIn. But 75 to 80% of jobs are hidden job places, so they are nowhere. You can't find them on any platforms where they announce works. They are through your networks. Companies find people from LinkedIn typically, because they don't want to put the job into open markets, because they will get 1,000 applicants and it takes too much time to find.
Fantastic. Actually, you are now answering the question which was asked. I will read it anyway, so
Okay.
we can continue. Yeah, why are you putting out vacancies when one of the colleagues is bringing someone? And he preceded by saying, why do they post your vacancies when they have no intentions of taking people?
Yeah, I think it's like Tinder, you want to have choices.
And you want to show that you're open.
You want to show, then you are in an industry that you actually need to put it by law in open markets. Yeah. But that's true, and many companies actually do have like rewarding programs that if the new employee is recommended by somebody who is already working there, you get a bonus. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. But networking is super, super important, and I think that all my international friends who are in Kuopio or in Finland, hardly anyone has ever got the job by applying to an open position. They get it through networks. And you said that there are not much networking events where you could go and meet people, and that's true. I think that changed because of COVID. Before that, we had quite a lot of them, actually. And now I see, because I'm also in Kuopio Entrepreneur Society, and we try to organize the networking events. People don't register there until the last minute.
Yes.
So it's really difficult to actually organize anything. Because they want to keep their all the open choices open. Yeah.
I see.
Well, typical recruitment process goes that the company has a need, they publish a job ad, they filter and screen the candidates based on their demand, what they think they need. But actually, I can tell you a secret. Sometimes the demand or what they need, it changes during the process, because they see that, okay, this person has this kind of expertise, we want that instead, even though we didn't mention it in the job ad.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Then there's usually 1 to 3 interviews. Maybe the first one is like a shorter one, screening with the HR or with the recruitment consultant. Sometimes there are personality assessments, or like trying to see if you have the skills for the job, some like task-related assessment. Usually all the recruiters do a reference check, so it would be useful to have Finnish recommendations. And then contract negotiations. I think this is the same, almost the same in every country, right? Yeah. Or are there big differences?
For me, no, not noticing a difference.
Yeah. But what to expect on the job ads? I think the Finnish job postings are typically concise and factual, but I have seen the change because the recruiters have started to use AI, so they use fancy language there. But the focus is on key responsibilities, skills, company culture. That's what they want to say. Values are usually nowadays mentioned as well. They list essential and preferred qualifications. And for example, they might say that we are looking for a project manager, 3 years or plus 3 years of experience, and that's essential. And then there is a mention that something is a plus, which is then a preferred requirement. And if you meet majority of it, or at least some of the essentials, you should apply even though you are not meeting all the preferred ones. So there's a job title, of course, mentioned in the job ads, and it may not always be an exact match with international equivalents. Responsibilities. So the focus should be on the main duties rather than the jargon, industry jargon. And requirements, where you should pay attention to see that what is mandatory, what they say that you must have, what is only preferred, which means it's a bonus but not essential, and then what is considered as an advantage. So it helps, but it's not required. What else? Language requirements.
Someone they are requesting I should pull the camera fast so they can see the presentation. So
Okay, yeah.
I will do that. But this works against me though. I will have a poor quality image.
Sometimes the job ad can say that fluent Finnish is necessary. You can argue with that in most of the jobs. Or Finnish is beneficial but not a must. What do you usually see?
Well, at least for instance, in my very particular profession, of course, is a must to speak Finnish language, and sometimes even Swedish. But
Yeah, that's true.
One of the things that I've seen is that it might be, and actually it might happen that you could do the work in English, even though Finnish language is needed, because usually negotiations or contract deals are made in Finnish. So it's more like a cultural thing instead of a job requirement itself.
Yes, that's actually very true. It's usually more of a cultural thing. Yeah, yeah. And actually, it's against the law. It's discriminatory if a job ad says that native Finnish skills are required. They can say that fluent Finnish is necessary, but not native Finnish.
Well, that's a bit of a loophole, because yes, it's the Non-Discriminatory Act.
Yeah.
It's in the Constitution, Section 6, and you cannot discriminate against the language, but an employer is allowed to put it as a requirement if it's needed for the job.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, it's a bit like a backdoor to avoid going against the Constitution. And I think some effort should be put into actually assessing what level of Finnish is needed for the position. Because if you think about it, if you see, if you have ever looked at open position for Finnish roles, like maybe something that international talents don't even look at. I look at them, but if you see, there's, I want to say 90% of the time, the requirement for fluent Finnish, but also at least good English. It's always included in most Finnish job ads, which means that the Finnish person that is hired has to have a basic level of English. From that assessment, it's some thought that actually a couple of days ago I realized, okay, if everybody hired that is a Finnish is required to have a good level of English, why companies use that excuse like, okay, we cannot hire foreigner because all my other co-workers in my company, they only speak Finnish? Really? In your initial job ad, you were asking them to have a good level of English. So that kind of, excuse goes a bit in the trash. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had a discussion with director of an IT company, and he said that we need, maybe I have told this story at least to Ezekiel before, but he said that we need many, like we have a lack of people here, and it was like basic IT skills what they needed. And then I asked that in what language are all your programs and systems? In English? Okay, great. Then I have at least 5 candidates you could interview that I know people and they would be willing to do the job. And then I said that they don't know how to speak Finnish. And then he said that, oh no, it's not possible because we want to speak Finnish in coffee room discussions. So I think it's an easy excuse because maybe companies, they think it's a bit awkward or difficult to assess our processes for someone who doesn't know Finnish. It can be like a struggle or.
Yeah, I from my experience, that it's also another BS excuse. If I'm being really frank, because I understand you want to promote a culture of being friends with your coworker and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I doubt that that's that high on the priority list of a company. If you're there for business, you want that your employer comes to work, does his job well, and if he doesn't speak that much, or if it starts speaking slowly in the coffee room during his employment, I think that would be a big problem. So it shouldn't be something preventing. And honestly, if if a company tells me, right, okay, coffee rooms, we're not speaking in Finnish, even though the talent is a perfect match for my open vacancies, if you reject a perfect match on the basis of, okay, they cannot speak in Finnish in the coffee room, it kind of makes me wonder how you as a company have been able to survive way more difficult challenges from starting your company to where you are now. And makes me really see you in a different light, in a way that it makes me doubt your capability as a company, if I'm really honest.
Yeah, before you respond, there is also another question here. Somebody called DJ. He says, for example, internships people who go to do internships, some of them do really well and they get praised. But after that, they don't want to be hired. So he finds that confusing, and maybe he needs some explanation for that as well.
Yeah, of course, in internships there can be a situation that it's like not paid internship and the company doesn't actually have resources, money to hire someone.
Yeah.
Or something else.
But they need the free work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there you go.
But I share your frustration because those are the discussions I have in my, because as an entrepreneur, I do challenge companies to hire and I help them make the processes in a way that it's easy for them to hire international people. And I do these cultural onboardings and try to ease up that process for them. But there's, I think the biggest challenge is inside people's heads.
Yes.
It's the attitude, they are afraid.
Yes.
And they are afraid of the change. Even though I show them statistics, how much diversity, or what diversity brings to a company, and I sort of shoot down all the obstacles that they build, but it's still the attitude and mindset. Yeah. So actually the change should start from the company inside. Like you said, that there are a lot of programs that support the international talents, but somebody should actually kick the companies, not gentle push, but they need a...
That is true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think some improvement in those programs are also needed, because if I'm a company also and I'm seeing these programs that are meant to help also me as a company to hire international talents, but I see that now the trend is to talk the talk but not talk the walk. I see these integration projects and whatnot that they have zero diversity in their teams. So
that's true.
From my point of view as a company, like, okay, you're saying you're promoting yourself as a champion of diversity, and you come to teach diversity at my company. How are you implementing it in your own project?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Which,
true.
by the way, is funded by European money. I can go on for even more on this topic, but yeah, there's a bit of like hypocrisy in those projects.
I do agree. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What else is in Finnish job ads? Soft skills, personal traits. They usually say that what we expect from you. Often they are vague and culture, so you have to understand a bit of culture before you can answer them on the way that they expected you to answer them, maybe. So these are subjectives, of course. Always good to give data, to highlight examples, not rather than just say nice and fancy words, because that's what everybody can do. Salary, well, some ads state that it's according to the collective agreement, so you have to check the industry-specific pay scales from the collective agreement. Now there will be the actually the Salary Transparency Act. I will talk about it a bit later, but they have to actually announce it in early stage already. Or they can say that submit your salary request, which is very common, but maybe sometimes a danger. I saw that when I was recruiting, that we had a lot of international people applying to the company, and they had no clue of the salary levels, so they were like really undervaluing themselves. So the salary requests were really low.
I can add a couple of points about that, because I was helping some of those talents applying to that company you're referring to. And one question was like, okay, which one is the collective agreement for this industry?
It should be stated in the job ad.
In some job ads, it's not that explicit.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, where do I find the information? That's another story.
And do you find it in English?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was getting there. And for salary request, my go-to recommendation used to be I would like to hear first the salary range that you have budget for, and then I can make an informed decision.
Yeah.
You can find some info, some brackets, if you search from statistics, usually from I cannot remember the English word, but you can find that if you're a student, for example, in business, most likely you're part of this economy, and they publish this sort of statistic about the lowest and the maximum range for a graduate right after graduation, and you have the average values for this salary. So it can give you an idea more or less what you can ask in Finland.
Yeah.
But also, nobody really teaches you how to go and search for those information.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're
Yeah.
90% in Finnish only.
Yeah.
So, tricky.
Yeah. And then there are application instructions, of course. So you should submit everything that they are requiring you to. And then there might be, they might say that we will interview already during the application period, which means that you should apply fast. And now, when there are so many unemployed people, I have heard that some companies, they just close it before the application period ends, because they have so many applicants already. And they do it like, they make a knowledge decision because they feel it's just too much work to go through everything. What do you think, if there is a phone number that you can ask more details from this person, should you call?
Yes, if you have a valid question.
Yes, not just to call and say that, hey, I'm so good, you should hire me, but you should have a valid question. Yeah.
I have one question. Is the language of the application documents also matter? Maybe you may say, I have a poor Finnish language, so it will be cheating if I use ChatGPT to translate, so that they see me as if I'm really fluent.
Yeah.
How does this affect me?
Well, usually the basic rule is that if the job ad is in Finnish, you should add, you should send your application in, or cover letter and CV in Finnish, and if it's in English, you can do it in English.
Okay.
But if you don't know Finnish and you want to still apply, maybe just have one paragraph in Finnish or something there, and maybe say that I used ChatGPT or a friend to translate this. But I'm learning, still learning. Yeah.
Okay.
With that premise, you're kind of basically, absolute majority of position in public organizations, governmental organization, their application systems doesn't even allow you
To use the English language.
I mean, you can type, but the
Okay.
system is
That would be automatic rejection.
Some they do have their user interface in English,
Yeah.
but job ads are always in Finnish. So
In public sector.
in public sector,
Yeah.
they have different rules to follow.
Okay.
Yeah, because actually it's in the legislation that you have to know Finnish and Swedish in order to work many of the at least permanent roles in public sector. Yeah. So my guide would be, or takeaway would be, that apply even if you don't meet all the requirements. I think people are too shy in applying. They feel that I'm not perfect, so I cannot apply. Look for flexibility and highlight your relevant experience clearly. Tell examples, be concrete, be practical. CV expectations. I recommend 1 to 2 pages for CV. Once I saw a CV that was actually titled Short CV and it had 12 pages. It was quite long.
Yeah.
But of course it depends on where you work. If you work in academic world, you have a long list of publications, and that's usually relevant unless you be clever and you put a link to your publications, which is easier. Usually Finnish employers prefer clear and direct CVs. There was a research or statistics that one recruiter uses 2 minutes to read both CV and cover letter, so it's quite a short time. So you want to make it so that your expertise and experience and competence is easily visible from there.
2 minutes is faster than 8 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
What to include? You should have a summary. This is very typical now, but there you have a short profile of your skills. And there was actually also statistics or study what do actually employers want to hear from or see from your CV and cover letter. And the top 3 was motivation, attitude, and potential. So all the skills and competencies and education was below that. So those were the top 3 ones. Work experience, not just saying your title and company because it doesn't necessarily tell anything, but give more. Skills, hard and soft skills relevant to the job, and education, of course. If you are new in the job market, your education is fresh, put your education first, but if you have been like 20 years already in working, put your work experience first. Common mistakes, overly generic CVs, always tailor your CV to match the job, which is a difficult thing and it takes time. Too long, or if you have unclear job titles or company names, or I think it was important for me when I was doing a lot of recruitment. I actually do still recruitment if my customers want for them, but if I don't know the industry of or the company name is something that is not in Finland. So you should add a brief clarification about the industry and the title and what were your, of course, always tell your responsibilities and maybe best achievements in the job. Data, give data. So use metrics when possible. If relevant, add LinkedIn or portfolio or other links where they can see your full experience. I think LinkedIn is a good tool to have your like master CV where you can add everything and even more, and then you tailor your CV specifically for the job. Then many companies use application tracking systems in Finland to fill the applications. They might have AI in there, and the AI screens the words that are specified by the recruiter or the words that they actually use in the job ad. So you might want to match your keywords from the job ad in your CV. Also, don't make your CV overly visual. Many people use Canva, and there are different and there has been discussions that the application tracking systems cannot read the words from Canva-based CV, so you should make it as Word and then print it in PDF and then send it. But
So there are applications which read CVs. I never knew about.
application systems, yeah.
Okay. I never knew.
Yeah.
That's new.
The AI cannot make a decision for people that you should interview this, but they can sort of make a list that these match your specifications best. So you should interview them. And if the recruiter is lazy, they might trust the application system. Yeah. And if a company actually has 1,000 applicants, then the recruiter might be lazy. So it's a good exercise to match the keywords from the job ad. So actually highlight the keywords and then use the same words in your cover letter or CV. Where should you focus on the cover letter? 1 page, structure. I think the most important thing is that you read the job ad carefully, and then you match your strengths, and then you actually explain how you add value to the company. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see that that you explain how great you are in the generic words what everybody can use, but think how you can actually add value. Don't repeat your CV, tell more, expand, show your motivation. And if you can do a bit research on the company website and you find the values and the values resonate with you, it's not harmful to refer to the values. Have you any experience on video applications?
Yes, I did one.
Okay.
Of course, it didn't work out, but it welcomed. Sorry. It welcomed the immediate interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we really had a wonderful conversation, except that the conversation now was turned in the other direction. Then we ended up discussing about partnerships.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not jobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of companies who use video application, they use a certain software called HireVue,
Yeah.
which like the recruiter doesn't even need to see it. So
Okay, so
the
that's one
software,
word.
yeah,
Okay.
they just treat like your body language, the kind of words you use, and by then they give results.
Yeah. I think it's not good because it's discriminating in people who have who are neurodivergent, for example. Maybe some people have really not slow, but how do you say?
Even like they're maybe self-conscious about being
Self-conscious,
videos.
or maybe they
need
they are
some
not
time to settle
comfortable speaking
down.
on a video,
Yeah, yes,
or
that's true.
they
Yeah, because speaking on a video is like it's a skill.
Yeah,
it's
a
not
skill,
something
yeah.
which everybody has. But you can be a good worker, you can be a good employee.
Yeah.
Not being able to
Yeah.
present, that's speaking skill.
So it's if you use that sort of thing, it's like it gives advantage to very extroverted people. And if you are like autistic, you can be like really good in many things, but like in doing coding or something.
But for video applications, what I was talking about is basically you apply for a certain job and they send you like the confirmation, okay, you got the interview, and you need to record a video of yourself talking.
Yeah.
And send it. I didn't mean like face to face, like with the.
Yeah, well, actually, this is also
Yeah, all right,
on
yes.
the same,
I just want to make
on the same thing. Yeah. And why they usually want to get the first impression of your communication style, motivation, language skills, maybe. There was like a trend that many companies wanted to do this at one point. I see that it's now, fortunately, not so hyped again, because it's not relevant in every profession. Maybe in creative fields or customer service or sales, it's important. Not in IT, for example, necessarily. They might have like ready questions that you can answer, or then they just say that record yourself answering or just speaking about yourself. So there's a short note what you could do, unless there's a structured questions. Again, try to be clear, authentic. Maybe not memorize a script, and other tips that be in a quiet space and practice makes perfect every time. Cultural nuances, and I may be like, I may have a blind spot for these, of course. But usually Finnish CVs and cover letters are fact-based and to the point. Modesty is valued. We don't usually appreciate if somebody is like really hyping up themselves, because that doesn't seem for a Finn really like, we don't believe it maybe. And if you have gaps in CV, you don't have to over-explain them, but maybe just refer that I was studying, or I was developing myself, or I was home with my kids or something. Between the jobs. how many of you have been in a Finnish work interview?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, I had an interview yesterday for a certain job in Norway. And the recruiter, I had the first interview on the phone. It was like just short. Then I got the confirmation for the first interview. The conversation was mainly about like tell us a bit about yourself, like those type of typical questions. Then it comes to technical knowledge. So I guess like that's when the conversation shifted a bit. It was like only about technical knowledge and just seeing how you interact with the person interviewing you.
Yeah.
So I didn't get like any certain points about like cultural references or something when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So, and the person also was from an international background, so yeah, I didn't get the chance to talk with like a real Finnish person to understand that. So,
Yeah. So it was a good experience.
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Any other experiences?
Well, in my very particular experience, I have been only applying to Finnish companies or even public roles. Therefore, my experience is only with Finnish recruiters speaking in Finnish. So, not bad, really. Actually, quite comfy. Of course, because I'm still studying law in the university, there can be a little bit challenging sometimes because there could be a Finnish person with a better background in this regard. But my experience is not bad at all. And
Yeah.
of course, there could be cultural boundaries or misunderstandings, but my very particular opinion is when you understand the language, part of the culture is transferred to the way you behave.
Yeah.
So maybe to speak slower, to speak maybe on a more direct way. Taking into consideration that I'm Spanish and as Marco, I can have the same problem that I speak very, very fast, or that sometimes I can speak, because in Italy it's sort of the same, we can speak about nonsense or just, you know, a little bit of chit chat that goes nowhere. So when you speak in Finnish language, that you can get rid of this. And therefore, once you understand this, it's easy to go through the interview, no matter what is the end result.
Yeah, I've had all kinds from Finnish interviewer interviewing me in English, Finnish interviewer interviewing me in Finnish, non-Finnish interviewer interviewing me in English, but then we were like, oh, we're both international, let's talk in Finnish, yeah, sure. And also Italian interviewer, starting interviewing Italian, but then we switched to English, but I've been speaking English way longer than Italian.
Really?
Yeah, I switched over a couple of years ago, pretty much. So, yeah, it was easier to do that in English. Experiences, yeah, they were all okay. I don't have anything bad to say or any points that stuck out too much. I've had not so good experience with the video, like was saying. It wasn't exactly the kind they send you some interview questions ahead with the interviewer video recorded himself and you record your answer in that sort of thing. And I was like, but I got good feedback on that, but it felt like weird.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think the modern recruiters think that the interview is actually not an interview, it's like a recruitment discussion, which is a good starting point. I think you still hear sometimes these horror stories that the interviewer thinks that they are in power position and then they try to push you down and ask like tricky questions to make you feel stupid, and that's really sad.
Yeah.
But that's not one of the, like as a leader you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's like a weakness of character.
Yeah. And it's harming the employer brand. You don't feel well doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm 44. I've had those in my younger days. Now I rarely go to job interviews anymore.
Because at a certain point the culture doesn't matter. If you're a certain interviewing someone, your role is basically to make that person feel comfortable about themselves.
Yes.
I'm not there, like I'm just, I need to impress you in a certain way to get the job, but you need to make me comfortable enough start to open up a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also two-way things. You're also assessing if the company is right for you. So in a way, you're also interviewing the company.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope those people are like dinosaurs and they are going to be extinct of users.
I think I also have some, though inverted experience. I've never done any Finnish interview. Yeah, but one time I remember there was one company in Juva. It was solar, the company. Yeah, I was connected there, and the way I was connected is that initially, of course, even the MD who interviewed me was struggling with English, and he had to use the translator all the time. Yeah, but the reason I got connected is because there was one lady. She was also working on a recruitment project to help people. Yeah, the good thing is she said she had lived with Africans particularly, yes, and she understood how these people are being misinterpreted. Yeah, so she was the one who spoke to him first before me, and then he called me there. Yeah, so we did the interview, and actually he wanted me to work. I was the one who rejected that position because I got 2 jobs at once because of that woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly the things that I was doing in my previous work. We were basically assisting smaller companies or whatever with the recruitment. So we were doing the pre-screening. We were introducing the talents to, Finnish working cultures, and then assisting during the actual interview with the language or any questions and not. But we were preparing basically the talents to be as successful as possible at the interview. And that's the basic of the whole ERS system, pretty much anyway.
Yeah. And what I did in my previous job is there was always an HR in the interview with the recruiting manager. That was our process. And many times when I heard that the recruiting manager said that no, this is not a good fit for our company, that they don't have the skills or whatever reason, then I challenged them that do you think that this is actually the personality and their skills and competencies, or is this a culture thing? And then they started thinking, and if it was a culture thing, then we were one step closer with it. Because, yeah, that was really common thing. Typically, directness, honesty, and practicality are highly valued in the interviews. Like you said that usually because if you speak in Finnish, the chit-chat goes away and you are more direct maybe.
Yes,
or
yeah. Well, actually, because it feels that it's a non-related topic, it's not valued at all.
Yeah.
It doesn't add anything to your very particular position or to the confidence in the room.
Yeah.
It's something that, for instance, in my culture, being Spanish is very, very valued.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you're supposed to do before starting any other conversation. But that's what I'm saying, that once you learn the language, this comes attached. And once you understand this, you can act in a way that, at least for you as a foreigner, is easier to be in that very particular situation.
Yeah. There are some typical questions that they usually ask. One is that tell me about yourself. And what they want to hear, they don't want to hear your life story. Sometimes people start that I was born in here and I had my childhood in there.
Yeah.
But usually it's just maybe a warm-up question. They have your CV, they know actually something about you already, but just to get you talking. That's the reason. Why are you interested in this job? And they want to hear the motivation for applying. So why did you apply? What makes you interested in our company? They want to hear something good about the company also and the job ad. So maybe saying that I just need a job is not a good answer. But I've heard those as well, and I've actually hired those people as well. Because if it's like a production line job, we don't expect the person to have high ambition, for example. If they just say that a job for me is just a way to get money for my free time life, then that's okay. Yeah, that's your motivation. What are your strengths? And here again, tell real examples and show how you add value. not just saying that I'm amazing in, like, don't be Donald Trump. I'm sorry I brought him into the room, but yeah. And then usually question is also that what are your weaknesses? And they usually people say that what weakness can I bring that actually is a strength? That's not the point. The point is to sort of understand what kind of self-awareness you have and where is your willingness to improve. I've also heard questions that I have no weaknesses, and maybe then I can challenge that.
So what's the best way to answer? You say, yes, I have this weakness and this, okay. Like, I'm not a hard-working person.
No, maybe if somebody would ask me that what is my weakness, I would say that I'm not a very organized person and that's my weakness, but I manage it with these kind of things.
Okay.
And I've learned to cope with it and yeah, sort of.
Question, how would you think, in your opinion, if someone were to say in an interview, like, I'm neurodivergent, would it be, in your opinion, would it be seen as a weakness, as something that to avoid? Because neurodivergent people can be freaking laser focused on certain things and be the best at that, but have some perks in other aspects. And there's different the spectrum.
Yeah, well, if a person, him or herself, would bring that onto the table and say that, maybe I would ask that, how do you think, or how does it affect to your job, or what do you need in order to do your job, or something like that. But it depends on the person, because some recruiter, they don't have knowledge. They might think that, okay, this is like this person will be all over the place, or they will not get anything done, and yeah, so you have to be strategic when and how you bring it up, because a recruiter cannot ask it. Question can be that, can you describe a challenging situation at work and how you handle it? And what they want to usually hear is problem-solving skills and ability to stay professional under pressure, or how to handle stress, or what kind of things bring you stress. And the best approach for these kind of questions is the STAR method. So explain situation, task, action, and result. And as well in here, can you describe your best achievement? They want to hear, actually they want to hear what do you value? What do you think was your best achievement? And sometimes they do not phrase it as best achievement at work, and I've done it, so I just leave it as open, and then somebody can say that I have 2 lovely kids or something like that, and that's their best achievement. Other questions? Where do you see yourself in X years? Usually it's 5, but I think 5 years is a bit long time. What are your expectations for the job? What things stress you out? Where do you want to develop yourself in? And why should we hire you? It's a difficult question because you don't know who are the other people who have applied for the job.
But like based on my friend who works in like Finnish companies, would they like to hear basically was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You have like a short-term plan, mid-term and long-term, and you can kind of just like give them a certain idea that I want to excel my career in the company. Is that something that is common, like when they ask certain questions like that?
I think
what do they expect from you?
I think it's highly dependent on the position that you're applying to. Yeah. If it's like a junior position, and you see that there's a progress in the company, then you might say that I want to learn. Actually, the best thing is usually say that first I want to learn this job well, and then after that I want to like be in the next step, or depending on your career ladder, what kind of program you have here, or I want to develop within a company and see different roles or projects or something like that. I once had a person who was really junior, and then I asked, and she was applying to my team, And then I asked that, where do you see yourself in? I think I said 2 years, and she answered that I want to be in your position. And well, it was a bold. Yeah.
Can it be applied also for like mid-senior positions or like even senior level positions? It's like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Is it because I don't know, like a company, would they like to hear, oh, I don't, maybe I want to start my own business or do something beside this job?
It's so dependent on the person, yeah, or what they think. If they think that now, like we want a person who will stay and do this job for at least 5 years, they want to see that you are committed. But if they have a plan that this will be a short-term position, and then it depends. But I've had people who, and I think it's really important for the recruiter to manage the expectations, so you don't have to guess, they have to tell you. Like I've had, and maybe it was more on when I hired international people, that they said that I'm really committed, I want to learn this job first and I want to be in here, but they were really ambitious, and they actually, their own agenda was to have promotions really quickly, and then they felt unhappy when it was not possible.
Yeah.
So what we learned, that we say that we expect you to do this job for 2 years, and then based on our career like ladder progress, then you can, or unless there's something else coming within the company. So you have, there's no direct answer to the question. Yeah. Then they usually ask that, do you have any questions for us? And what they want to hear maybe is some thought. Of course, if everything has been discussed during the interview already, you might not have anything, but maybe prepare some questions in advance. Examples here, or you can ask about the onboarding process or objectives for the first 6 months in this position or something else. Maybe not ask that what are the benefits or what will the salary be. It's an important question, but I hope they will tell it before you have to ask.
I think I find that maybe one non-threatening or polite way to ask about salary is like, at what stage of the interview process are you gonna share the salary range?
Yeah.
So it doesn't, you're not asking directly, but you make sure to say that you want to know and leave the ball on their side. So kind of moves it a bit.
Yeah, but I think it's really unfair that the companies are not telling the salary, and I'm happy about the salary transparency directive because you might not be interested if the salary is too low, and then you are just wasting everybody's time. But that's what I think the headhunters do it a lot, but of course they do it because the company, the company who has hired them is saying.
I would understand a little bit if you use a headhunter, you usually are looking for high senior position and C-level position. So in that case, I could understand that, it depends a lot on what kind of responsibility. Of course, I know they have a budget for the position, but it might be a bit tricky to say that so much ahead of the job ad, if there's even a job ad for those positions.
Yeah.
So for those specific cases, might be okay.
Yeah.
But for most other job ad, yes, thank God there's going to be transparency.
Sometimes the recruiters also might ask that, what is your current salary?
Oh yeah.
It's a bad question, don't answer. It's none of their business. Because
so
then
they just refuse and say, I don't answer.
You might say something diplomatic that...
something polite.
Yeah, polite.
I prefer not to disclose it at this point.
Yeah, or I would like to hear your salary range for this position or your budget for this position.
Yeah, and actually someone just asked at the same time, what is your salary expectation? How do you answer that question in an interview?
Yeah. What to do if you don't know how to answer a question? It's okay to take a moment to think. Silence in Finland is okay.
That's
to learn
cool.
this. Yeah.
Please.
I,
Sorry.
or you can repeat the question, or you can ask for clarifications. And actually, if you repeat the question, there is a psychological thing that you hear the question again, and your mind starts processing it. You can relate to a similar experience if you don't have an exact answer, or you can admit that you don't know, but you are very willing to learn. And stay confident if you can. Okay, I wanted to bring some legal aspects also of employment in Finland, because I think it's important for internationals to know something about the Finnish law as well. So, what kind of questions employers are not allowed to ask by law in Finland, or they are not allowed to make decisions on? Race or skin color, so where are you really from? They cannot ask that. Nationality. Language, what language do you speak at home? It should be enough if you have your language skills in your CV. Of course, they might ask about, well, not nationality, but where they might ask because they need to know that you have a working permit in Finland. So that's then a legal reason to ask or confirm. Age, and you should not put your age in your CV or birthday or even address. Yeah. Name and email and phone number are enough. Family status, this is what I constantly hear, especially that women have been asked this question or plan to have kids. Gender should not be, maybe they can see it, but something that you base decisions on or by. Sexual orientation, health status, but there are exceptions if the health is somewhat related to the job. For example, in my previous experience, there was a clean room laboratories, and if you had like a chronic eczema or something like that, you couldn't work there. But we couldn't ask, but we could say that if you have something like this, it could prevent the contract. And therefore, there's a health examination before we close this employment. Religious beliefs, political opinions, trade union activity. So all these.
I actually know someone that got asked, what is your political preferences? He was asked about Russia and Ukraine.
Okay. And what was he from Russia or something?
No, he studied in Russia and he came to Finland here as an international student. He was studying with me, and he had a job interview in Iisalmi. I don't want to mention the name of the company, but he was a Finnish CEO who asked him this question. And the way he got the job interview, he met him at a coffee shop, and he brought like a case with like those kind of Legos or something. It's like he told him like a test, like an IQ test or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
But it wasn't like in a company, it was in a coffee shop, which was weird. And then he was asking him, oh, you've been to Russia, so what do you think about the war, Russia and Ukraine? I was like, yeah. My friend stayed neutral, like he didn't want to answer. It's kind of I think it's illegal to ask someone that, you know.
It is, yeah. And did your friend get the job?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a very weird situation. I've never heard about something like that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it is hard.
Sorry.
No problem. It is hard because you are being forced now to guess his side, so you have to match.
Exactly.
To be
You
safe.
just have to.
Yeah.
It's,
Yes, please.
Are these regulations same for the filling out the application form? When for example, I would fill out the application form, I answered too many of these questions.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, they can ask your birth date in the application forms, but it shouldn't be a reason for rejecting you. Yeah.
The problem is
if
you can
you
never
have-
know. The problem is you can never know.
You can never know.
Yeah, so they will just ask you and say, oh, okay, I was just
Yeah.
interested, but I'm sorry, no, you don't speak Finnish.
Yeah. The only place where age should matter are some professions that cannot hire, like you cannot be working in a bar if you're under 18 and holding alcohol. Yeah.
Or summer jobs.
Summer jobs, yeah.
For internships.
Yeah. But if you have been asked many of these in a form, then it's questionable. Yeah. I actually had an interview with a headhunter, I don't know, 7 years ago, and it was for the HR director position, and he asked me that, do I have children and how old, and then I said that you actually cannot ask this question. I think it was a stupid question because of course I knew, because I was HR. And then he replied that all professionals answer this question. I didn't hear anything from him after.
Yeah, I think that is those situations where, at least in my opinion, if you hear that kind of behavior from a recruiter, for me it's over. Like I lose interest in your company. If that's how you set yourself out, and then the rest of the interview it's fun times.
Yeah.
Because you just
Yeah.
embarrassing the other guy if you.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's important to know. Yeah. And this we talked about already, the Salary Transparency Directive. It will be mandatory in June 2026. There is now a transmission period from 2023 actually. So it does mean a lot more, but for this context it means that the employers must tell the salary levels or salary ranges in job advertisement or before the first interview. But it can be also stated that it's according to the collective agreement. So again, you have to do a bit of research. And then if you are already in a company and you think that that person is getting actually more money than I am and we are doing the same job and we have the same skills, you have a right to ask about the salary structures. I think we are now increasingly seeing the salaries in job ads, but not so many still. Yeah. Employment contracts, always in writing. In Finland, the verbal contract is as binding as written, but of course, how do you prove it, what you have agreed? What should be included? At least these things. So what is your job title? What are your main responsibilities? What is your salary? Are there any bonuses, working hours, overtime, terms, trial period, if any, vacations and benefits, and notice period for termination? Trial period can be by law maximum of 6 months, or if your work is or your employment contract is only for 6 months, then it can be, or less than 12 months, it can be a maximum of half of that time. So if your employment contract is for 6 months, the trial period can be for 3 months. And then the notice period varies according to your contract, the length of your contract. There's no minimum wage in Finland. But the collective agreements might set some minimum salary expectations or levels. But if there's no collective agreement in your industry, then you have to negotiate, which is difficult.
I think one thing that I remember was being a bit misunderstanding is that, okay, I find what the test for this specific job is, great, there's different levels, right? Now, which level is this position corresponding to? Number one, you have to find out how different out. And then if there is a salary range for the test, does it mean that it's not going to be above that? Or is it going to be in between those two numbers for sure? Are you going to take into consideration additional responsibilities or skills I bring to the table? That was something that was quite unclear for many applying to many type of jobs, and I think that's not really explained anywhere. And like, where do you find the information? And how do you know even the basic question, which level of the desk this job corresponds to? It's not always stated. So
No, it's not stated, and it's usually just within the company, or the HR knows, or they have some rules and guidelines that they follow. But and they don't have to
You
tell
just have to remember the slogan.
that was the issue. Was like,
Yeah.
so thank God there's going to be
Yeah.
the Transparency Act, because that was
Yeah.
really something that, okay, am I wasting time applying for this position or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even after all the research that you're doing on your own to find the desk or not,
Yeah.
then what? It still doesn't tell you exactly
Yeah.
what it is.
And I think the international people are in vulnerable position because they don't have the knowledge, and I've heard stories that the companies pay less for the same work for internationals. Yeah. Yeah, so salary should be always equal for employees who are doing the same job with the same level of experience, skills and responsibilities. But how do you know? Yeah, that's true. Working hours, by law, standard working hours are 40 hours per week, but usually in collective agreements it says 37.5 hours, and some even less in public sector, surprisingly. Overtime hours have to be compensated by law. They can be also, always if the overtime hours are done by the employer's request, you should have money for it. But if you do it on your own will, that you lengthen your working day, maybe it goes to your flexible hours. And night shifts have special rules as well. And remember to rest. And if your company doesn't say that, what are you entitled to have as breaks and resting times, be aware. Common challenges. I don't speak Finnish. I think that's the most common challenges. Or
Yeah.
my name is foreign. But you can learn, and you're a really great example. Yeah, maybe you can share your secrets to people in the after talk.
Yeah.
Well, there are of course some jobs that require Finnish by law, and usually customer-facing roles. But I have one friend who is from Mexico, and she didn't know how to speak Finnish, but then she wanted to work in a restaurant to learn Finnish, and it was a good example. Healthcare, that's, you have to by law know Finnish, but yeah, basically that. And in public sector positions, they require Finnish and Swedish. I see that many times administration and HR jobs say that you have to speak Finnish. I'm not necessarily agreeing, but I understand that aspect that you have to communicate with many different stakeholders who might not speak English. One obstacle is that I don't have experience from Finland. So think the ways where you can get the experience. I'm not saying that you should do free labor for works and companies. Some companies can sort of make you do it, but this is a free internship. And then they don't hire you after, even though they might have promised to hire you.
Might be a good moment to also mention about the type of job ads and job interview that require you to complete some tasks. In many cases, it's something minimal that doesn't, really benefit the company, in the honest one. But there's been cases where companies were asking really extensive research on a particular topic or whatever that a professional would do once hired. So in that sort of situation, check if that's a company you want to work for or not.
They are like asking free consultation.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, you're doing free consultation project for them.
Ezekiel remembers the first time we met, I said, never do things for free.
I remember that one.
Unless you get some values in return.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And that's actually what I have seen as an entrepreneur as well, that they ask me to like, I don't know, make some sort of plan of a
Yeah, sure.
huge training program, and then we decide if we take you. So, yeah. Then one obstacle is that I don't have networks, and my takeaway for that is to build them. I have many examples that people have been actively building them. Like you just contacted me, and now we have a great network.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good example. I don't know about your experience about building networks.
Well, it's actually difficult in Finland. And talking about my personal experience, working 6 years as a lawyer in Spain is super easy to meet people. Super easy. I mean, there are plenty of events or conferences, whatever. The thing is that it's very easy to start a conversation, and Finnish culture, at least in my experience, is not up to it. Of course, after COVID, I can give you this. Everything changed, and nowadays it's more difficult to gather up with people in a very particular place. Maybe nowadays networking is more through internet.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's difficult to establish connections because, yet again, ones have to acknowledge that which kind of culture you have, which kind of background you have in order to relate to other people. And in my opinion, and in my experience, it's easier to do it in person. But this is because I've been 3 years living in Finland. The situation is completely different. In this sense, for instance, I would like to ask Marco, being an Italian, because our cultures are sort of similar, how is when you have been longer in the country? I mean, you can overcome this.
Well, we used to have more opportunities before COVID. That's actually why I met Johanna. We had this sort of meeting. They were monthly, bi-monthly, I can't remember nothing. It's been a while. But they were held in the same location underneath the Tori.
Yes.
They were organized by the Employment Services and City of Culture together. And I was also doing some volunteering myself there. I'm a professional photographer and videographer as well, so I was taking sometimes photos, and if people needed CVs, there were always some international parents there, so I could take.
Nice.
And I would do that for free because I'm not gonna charge you for one photo
Yes.
at the time.
Yes.
But that's how I met. That's how I got my first job in Finland. That's how I met Johanna and other HR people around Finland and other personal interest, let's say, that had the understanding, and they were not so distancing themselves from foreigners. So people with the same mindset, and it led to a job at the end, and a bunch of connection. I can tell a super quick story that maybe might be useful for others, but I had just applied for a position for a consulting company because my background is in business, a master and bachelor in Finland, plus 5 degrees from Italy. So I'm 40 this year, so I've studied a bunch of things over 10 years, a bit too many if you ask me. But I just applied for this consulting position because I was seeing my fellow classmates from university that they were getting already position. We were still students. They were Finnish, of course. So I just, I was talking with this. There was this CEO of some different companies. He was a member of the board, and I was telling my experience. I just applied to this company, and I mentioned the name to him. And I haven't heard anything. It's been so long. I asked for another. Hey, have you received my email? And he said, actually, I'm a board member of this company, so I didn't know about that. And I was like, oh, right, why are you guys not answering me? I took it in that sort of way, and literally the next day I got an answer. It was negative, of course. But that was quite a funny way, because I was talking without filter. And I was absolutely polite, but he got to hear my raw experience. And that kind of thing, I want to say it shaped the rest of my interactions. I've always been very straightforward, and I don't like BS.
Yes.
but I noticed that how different it might have been if I knew that that was the guy from the company. That was many years ago. Now at this point, at this moment in time, I don't quiet myself anymore. So if I say something that I don't like, I speak up.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
It comes with the age.
Experience.
Yeah, I got nothing to lose also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're
Fantastic.
against me, I'm not interested in doing things with you.
Yeah.
Very simple.
I think the networking is also the way it's now organized, if something ever is organized, is that we put internationals to network together and then we have Finnish to network together.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other experiences?
I mean, when you're on the same position with someone, you meet someone with the same kind of circumstances, you can kind of relate to each other. But you wouldn't get some results or like some eventual outcome for both of you beside like good communication. And,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not alone in this. There's
Yes.
someone who's going through the same stuff. But I mean, to get a job or to build your connections, I think it's an important aspect. Like for example, what Ezekiel does, like online, I see his posts on LinkedIn. That's amazing. Like that brings people together. But
Thank you.
yeah, it needs to be like quite diverse between like real professionals that you can really connect with and to give you the opportunity to kind of stand out, basically.
Yeah.
If I can add one other thing that you refresh me on that there's like we're talking now like about opportunities to meet in networking events and whatnot. It's a kind of double-sided blade in a way because those projects or whatever organization organizing this, they tend to go for the number. So how let's have as many international as possible, as many companies as possible, and have a great event. And this is across all over Finland. Events in Helsinki or whatever were not, same thing. That tends to be quite dispersive, and also you get a lot of participation by all the millions other integration activities, projects, and whatnot that are there to promote their services, their project, what they're doing, and usually they lack in actually employers or HR representatives there with open position looking for candidates. Of course, you're not saying that if you go to a networking event, you're gonna leave with a job. But I'm noticing there's always quite a imbalance of people there. There's maybe even like, I don't know, 1,000 international talents. There's 2,000 or whatever. I'm exaggerating, obviously. Projects, integration project, and like 15 employers.
Yeah.
So with those numbers, you have to manage expectation, and that's something that in my previous work we noticed as well. I was working during COVID, so we had everything to do. We had to do everything online, and we were also going for the number because that's also a metric for integration process to measure their success, which is a bit stupid in a way. But over the year, we were getting feedback that this is too dispersive. I'm coming here, there's nobody in my field. There's no company that hired for what I studied. I'm wasting my time. So we eventually shaped, that was part of my job duties, and created a new concept for networking events that are way more intimate and more focused by field. And those had the best possible response and feedback from talents, companies, and other representatives. So I don't see that happening yet that much across Finland. There's still the idea, biggest as possible, 5,000 participants and whatnot. Great. How many actually go out of there with something of value? It's different if you're a newcomer. If it's your first year in Finland, first few months, great. See what sticks to the wall. That's okay. But try to see a bit the bigger picture and that sort of thing. So.
Fantastic. Good insight there.
Yeah, I believe what Marco said is an excellent point. It's like that's basically if that gets applied to certain networking events, you will get some effective results eventually, rather than just doing the same thing over and over again.
Then the obstacle is that I always get rejected. And I know you've heard this many times before. Networking is also mentioned in here, and it's super important. Stay active and visible. LinkedIn is a great platform if it's where your industry people are. And consistency is a key there, and of course the way you have built your profile. That's a great link tool. There are 350 companies who hire employees who don't speak Finnish, English-speaking jobs on that link. Maybe to end with a positive note, even though maybe, well, we have been realistic.
Yes.
Let's not say negative, but realistic. Seek support, talk to people, don't isolate yourself. I'm happy that you came here because now we can talk and network.
Yes.
Now I know you. Stay connected, make Finnish friends, maybe hard task, but it's doable. It is, yeah. Remind yourself of your strengths, you have them. Think solution focused. And if the way you are now trying to find a job, it's not working, can you adjust? Do something different. Avoid negativity and cynicism, because it's not good for yourself. Can you reframe your rejection and celebrate small wins? And remember your value. You are more than your job search. I think we took a lot of time.
That was effective.
I have one question. Where does the name come from, Bestla?
It comes from Norse mythology, and it's like a powerful female character there, the mother of 3 gods, giants, and I have 2 sons and my company. Yeah. And I like to hike in Norway, so
All right.
yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, one more question. Now, what do you do if you already have been hired, but maybe you're being underpaid or you are going through a tough time? And we know quitting is like a crime. To kill out and other people, if they know you quit from the company, then you shall find out yourself.
Yeah.
So, what do you do?
That's a good. Can you have like an open and honest discussion with the company? Can you ask them to reason your salary because you are underpaid? Don't put yourself in a position where you are taken advantage of. I think if you feel that now there's not things okay, seek for outsider help. It's good to be part of the union, because from the union you get free legal help, for example. You get statistics from the salaries. They will support you, and you're not alone then. So be part of your industry union.
Is there any companies which restrict people from joining the unions?
Which restrain or?
Yeah, like you can't join these trade unions.
No, they cannot do it by law.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a right. It's your right, and you should.
Yeah.
You need to have been employed full time for at least 6 months, if I remember right, before you can join a union.
No,
you can start joining already. Yeah,
You can, yeah. You don't have to be employed.
Yeah, but you need to have at least 6 months before you can enjoy the benefits. There was some.
Yeah.
Some.
It depends on the union.
Yeah, on average, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not that many. Is it 12 or 15 about? Oops, sorry. In Finland, so you know. And if you don't know which one is yours, ask a colleague, ask each other.
Yeah.
Choose your own.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Fantastic.
It's not hard to.
Yeah, and DJ from TikTok says amazing job, Bestla. He enjoys the lesson.
Good.
Okay, for me, I don't have any other questions. Yeah, but our time is up, and it was really contentful. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Yes, everyone, thank you so much who managed to join us, starting from those who managed to come in person, but also you who joined this session online via TikTok Live. Like I said in the beginning, I will upload the whole discussion on YouTube. And if I get time, I always split the video into specific messages and share them as videos on my social medias, include TikTok. Yes, but one thing, now I must also say this, maybe it's unrelated. Yeah, I've noticed some people are really trying to oppose this session. I've seen several reports that this session is harmful. I don't know in what context. Yeah, of course, if the report that, then it is being restricted by TikTok, so it doesn't go. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So the good thing is I've been able to reach some people, and there is always some people who would oppose anything, regardless of whether it's positive or not. Yeah, some people may oppose some good thing just because they don't like how you dress. Yeah, and all you can do, I will try to recall this statement by Martin Junior. Martin, I don't know how to pronounce it. How do you pronounce that name?
Martin Luther King?
Yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., right? Yes, he said, you know, it's not the noises of our enemies that will harm us, it is the silence of our friends. Yeah, so you as a friend who is finding this session useful, you think it can actually help someone, which actually it will help somebody, because majority of immigrants, we are facing this thing. We have no idea about the trade unions. We have no idea about these questions. You really shared a lot of stuff today. Yeah, so if you find this useful, please reshare it to somebody else. Yeah, when you see my postings and find it useful, it has this kind of information. Don't share my personal videos if I'm singing or dancing. Don't share them, but if you find these videos, please share it to someone else. Let us help somebody. Yeah, there's always somebody who is desperately in need. Yeah, so thank you so much. Then we mark this the end of our session. We have some 10 minutes. Collect the numbers to yourselves. This is a plus. Now we have +6 to everyone. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.